Hello Astro subscribers. So today I'm going to be continuing my exploration into the lunar mansion / Nakshatra series of this channel. And before I begin, today I'm going to be talking about the Nakshatra of Moola, which is in the early degrees of the sign of Sagittarius. And before I begin, I'm going to, as always, if you don't know what a Nakshatra is, I'm going to explain it. And basically what a nakshatra is the span of distance that the moon moves inside of one solar day. So 24 hours, the moon moves 13 1/3 degrees roughly. There's 27 of them, and then you get 360-degree cycle, which obviously then repeats. Now, each of these 27 day-long spans of time or spans of distance, whatever, that the moon moves, have a co-ruler, much in the same way that the sign of Scorpio, Aquarius, or Pisces have co-rulers that shape the energy of these particular signs. They have their main ruler, for Scorpio, for instance, is Mars. It also has two other co-rulers, which are south node of the moon and Pluto. Same with Aquarius, which has the co-rulers of north node of the moon and Uranus, and the sign of Pisces has the co-ruler of Neptune as well as the main ruler of Jupiter. So every 13 1/3 degree section of the ecliptic has a co-ruler that allows you to narrow down your predictive ability into more and more specific domains. So if somebody is, let's say, an Aries, and they're an 18-degree Aries sun versus a 4-degree Aries sun, they're going to be in different nakshatras and therefore have different qualities to them that you can predict using this method. So, this being said, today we're talking about the nakshatra of Moola, which goes from 0 degrees Sagittarius to 13 1/3 degrees Sagittarius, 13.2, because the degree system is base 60. So, the co-ruler of this nakshatra is south node of the moon, and obviously the sign of Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. The sign of Sagittarius is a sign of learning. It's a sign of teaching specifically. So if Gemini is the student, then Sagittarius is the teacher, and these two create a dynamic interplay where these two archetypes sort of are always bouncing ideas off of each other, where Sagittarius would like to preach one particular dogma and understand it as true, whereas Gemini would like to typically understand many different varieties of information. And so there's always this tension between these two signs where one of them is really sticking to its guns and is really preaching things that it believes to be true, whether that's Islam, whether that's science, whether that's Christianity, whether that's astrology, whatever the belief system is, it tends to stick to this one belief system. Whereas the opposite archetype of Gemini is trying to understand all the belief systems, but doesn't necessarily prefer one over the other. So when you mix these two things, this is the first nakshatra in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, the thing about combining the south node of the moon with fire signs, so each fire sign, the first 13 1/3 degree of it is ruled by the south node. Now, what is the south node of the moon? It's effectively a form of forced detachment from certain things. So, and it's, according to Hindu theory, it's because the reason it's trying to detach you from these things is because you're already good at it from your previous lifetime or one of your previous lifetimes. So it basically represents the area where you have the least to learn about the world, and because of that, you're always going to feel violently bored by it. So effectively, when you enter into a situation which your south node is controlling. Let's say your south node is in Sagittarius, let's say. Sagittarius represents universities, schools, churches, like any situation where somebody is like, everybody's looking at this one person on a stage and they're telling them about the way the world is. Whether that's a university, a courtroom, a church, they're all basically ruled by the same archetype. So anytime you enter into this type of situation, you're going to be very typically possessed by this notion that you need to leave. Like, you need to get out now because this is so stupid and so boring that it doesn't even like require an explanation for you to leave. You're just going to get up and walk out. And that's basically what this South Node energy is. If you have South Node Taurus, anytime people start talking about food or money or clothes, you get really, really bored and you want to leave. It's basically a forced detachment. Like, you already know this, you don't see any value in it, you got to get away from it. It's very uncomfortable for you. So, this being said, when you put these two energies together, Jupiter in the form of Sagittarius and South Node, you get a person who is very intense on learning new things. So despite the fact that they feel they already know a lot of information, like kind of from birth, they pick up information very quickly as a child, and they really easily understand and grapple with complicated belief systems. They want to take it a little farther, typically. So you get people who are very, very devout into one particular area of human philosophy. With this placement, typically, they're very intense, they're very deep researchers, and they have this interplay between them of like already feeling like they know a lot and then always wanting to go and get learn more shit. So, a good example of this would be like, all right, let's say that there is a professor who is a very, very accomplished professor at a university. And then instead of just being satisfied with that, this professor decides to go even deeper into the area of research he's in, and he uncovers something that's so transformative to the field that people stop liking him. But he doesn't care because he figured it out. I mean, it's true to him, so he's going to stick to his guns and keep researching this thing. So you see sort of almost a heretical, sort of like almost like antisocial type of person here, where they stop trusting the establishment because they dive so deep into their field that they make other people very uncomfortable with the amount of research and depth that they uncover. So these people will follow an idea all the way to the end. And that's why the symbolism of this particular nakshatra is the roots of a tree that just go down, down, down into the earth. They dig until they find, they just keep digging, basically. They continue to dig into and research every aspect of this one thing that they're into. And what that thing is typically is determined by the house placement that this is in. So if this is in the 11th house, they're going to dig into science. If this is in the 9th house, they're probably going to dig into religion or social issues or politics. If it's in the 5th house, they're going to definitely be digging into like how to achieve some sort of aesthetic or creative persona. If it's in the 4th house, they're going to dig into like emotions and try to understand emotions to the deepest degree. So yeah, this is basically what the nakshatra of Moola represents. And also the goddess associated with this nakshatra is also Moola, who is represented by the Queen of Demons. It's sort of an analog for Kali. It's very similar to Kali in Hinduism. It's a representation of the dark feminine. If you understand what Bharani Nakshatra is, the one I made a video on, it's pretty similar to that. It's it's basically the dark moon, the dark female quality of the archetype. The Western equivalent might be something like Selene, who is the Greek goddess of the full moon, who brings monsters, this type of thing. And it's because, if you dig down far enough into any belief system, eventually you find things that are very uncomfortable and scary, but you have to keep going because that's what these people are like. They just want to get to the bottom of everything. And that is the Nakshatra of Moola. So tune in next time for the Nakshatra of Purvashada. And until then, I'll see you later.